Good evening. It's August 18th, and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Lauren Williamson. An eastern screech owl was found in Dennisport last week, covered in blood and severely weakened. The owl was treated for rodenticide poisoning by Wild Care Cape Cod, but ultimately succumbed to the poison. Second-generation rodenticides used by pest control companies to control rodents are strong anticoagulants that can lead to hemorrhage and death. These poisons can cause secondary poisoning when ingested by predators like raptors and foxes. Wild Care Cape Cod and the organization Raptors Are the Solution, otherwise known as RATS, they emphasize that poison is not the answer and advocate for humane alternatives for rodent control, providing resources on their websites to help educate the public. The Great Blizzards of Cape Cod, an all-inclusive ice hockey team, will be based at the Tony Kent Arena in South Dennis starting next month. The team is hosting its third and final open house this weekend, August 19th, from noon to 2 p.m. at Tony Kent Arena. It's an opportunity to meet coaches, get information, and register for the team, with pizza and drinks provided. This affiliate of the Great Blizzards of Massachusetts offers people with disabilities the chance to play ice hockey, regardless of background. The program aims to be inclusive and promote fun and accessibility. Tony Kent Arena has partnered with the Great Blizzards to provide this opportunity for individuals with special needs. The Great Blizzards of Cape Cod will also hold practices and is looking for volunteers and sponsors from the community. More information can be found at thegreatblizz.org. The annual Colonial Day at the Manse event will take place this Saturday, August 19th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Josiah Dennis Manse in Dennis Village. Hosted by the Dennis Historical Society, the outdoor-indoor event will feature costumed interpreters showcasing 18th century crafts and skills. Special demonstrations include colonial blacksmithing, early militia training, and a presentation about colonial teaching. The 1801 Captain Theophilus Baker House will receive the 2023 Burton and Derrick Preservation Award. And visitors can explore the restored Josiah Dennis Manse maritime exhibits and purchase books on Dennis history. Admission is free and the event is family friendly. The Chatham Select Board is hosting 2 town hall forums regarding plans for the new Center for Active Living. The first meeting on August 22nd will cover design, planning, construction, and costs, while the second meeting on September 12th will be an open community discussion. Residents can attend in person or remotely, and they can also submit written comments. The proposal to build the new center at 1610 Main Street in West Chatham will be voted on September 18th. After failing to pass twice in the past, Chairman Corey Metters has recused himself from the project deliberation due to a conflict of interest. During the Springtown meeting, 2 votes failed to achieve the required 2/3 majority by just 1 vote. And the project was also defeated in 2021 when the cost was $8.4 million. Supporters argue that the current building is inadequate, while opponents feel the plan is too expensive and lacks compromise. Dennis lifeguards rescued 3 individuals from the waters of Mayflower Beach just last month. The incident, spurred by strong offshore winds and unusually high surf, saw a 45-year-old woman and 2 young girls aged 15 and 11 struggling to swim back to shore. Lifeguards sprang into action as the youngest girl waved for help. They managed to retrieve all 3 victims from the water and avoided a potential tragedy even before first responders could arrive. 2 of the survivors needed immediate medical attention on the beach and were soon rushed to Cape Cod Hospital. Recognizing their remarkable courage, the lifeguards were honored during the recent Dennis Select Board meeting held on August 8th.
We are going to start with a proclamation for the Dennis Beach lifeguards. I know that we have Dustin and Owen here tonight as well who run the beaches and the lifeguards. And tonight, hopefully we have with us, and if I mess up your name, I apologize, Tyler Boy, Mikey Gray, Reed Hammond, Catherine Jennings, Justin Makel, David Robertson, and Cameron Zahir. We hope that you have all been able to take time to reflect on the enormity of your heroic actions at Mayflower Beach on Thursday, August 24th, 2023. We can't thank you enough for what you did then and how proud we are of you. You were all given the ultimate test of lifeguarding and excelled in your performance. Multiple eyewitness reports indicated that you worked efficiently as a team of lifeguards dealing with this multiple victim incident. It is one thing to respond as an individual lifeguard to a singular incident, but it is much more challenging to be one of several lifeguards responding to a multiple victim incident. Coordination and teamwork are essential in such a case, and it has been reported that you responded in such a manner. By getting certified as a lifeguard and accepting this position, you've committed yourself to serve and protect the people who come to our beaches. Your actions on Thursday clearly indicate that you fulfilled that commitment. 3 individuals are alive today thanks to you. You should be extremely proud of yourself and your colleagues. Thank you on behalf of the Dennis Select Board, the entire Beach and Recreation Department, and the town of Dennis. Thank you for everything you do.
An adult female reported missing from a residence on Setauket Road in Dennis Wednesday morning was found safe after an extensive search effort involving multiple agencies. The woman was considered to be endangered, though not dangerous.
Yeah, so this morning about 8:30, we had family members of a woman who lives in a residence right up the street here come in and say that she had been missing. They wanted to report her missing from over the weekend. So we immediately dispatched officers up here, and they, did a search of the house, a search of the area, and determined that we needed a larger search of the area, that she may be wandered off into the wooded area out here behind the house. So we started calling in not only our resources, but fire department search and rescue teams from fire districts all over the Cape. So they've showed up here. So that's why you see the large turnout from other departments. So what we've begun now is a concentrated search based on like grid patterns and things like that of the woods out here, because there's not only woods, but there's kettle ponds. We got Flax Pond over here to the west. So we're going to do a very methodical search of the area, and hopefully she's just out there somewhere that we can't locate her. Maybe she's just gone off and gotten lost in the woods. So, but we put a little bit of information on social media, but we don't think she's out wandering the streets of Dennis, where if we put out a description, people might see her. We really think she's out here somewhere behind the residence in the wooded area. It's very thick out there, so we're going to continue to do that, and hopefully this is going to be a good outcome.
The search focused on the wooded areas adjacent to the residence, employing K9 units, drones, ATVs, and foot patrols. The collaborative efforts of public safety agencies from Cape Cod and other regions of the state were instrumental in the search. Support was also provided by various departments within the town of Dennis, including natural resources, harbor personnel, DPW, town buildings, animal control, and beach personnel. The missing woman was located by approximately 2:30 p.m. by one of the searchers and transported to Cape Cod Hospital for immediate medical treatment. The Dennis Police Department expressed its gratitude to the numerous agencies and personnel who assisted in the search, leading to a successful resolution. Coming up after the break, Governor Healy declares state of emergency. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Lauren Williamson. Grandmothers Against Gun Violence is a nonprofit organization with a focus on gun violence prevention and firearm safety. This past Monday, the grandmothers met at Hyannis Rotary, as they do every month, to rally and call for local action. This rally in particular held a special focus on the Massachusetts Firearm Modernization Act, also known as HD 4420.
Focus of today's rally is a bill, HD 4420. It's the Firearms Modernization Act. It's a great act, and everyone should get behind this and call their legislators. It'll be coming back to the floor in September. Has great provisions to strengthen our assault weapons ban. It has some great committees on it. It bans ghost guns, which we've been working on for 2.5 years, and it creates safer spaces where you cannot carry a firearm. And all these things are important because on the national scale, many rifle associations are coming back against the states for their assault weapons ban and their open space carry. So it's more important than ever. It's not just about Massachusetts anymore. Everybody thinks nothing's happening on gun violence. The truth of the matter is, if you get out of Massachusetts and you get on the national scene, you can see that hundreds of thousands of people work every day on this issue. And it's an issue that has been years in the creating. So we can't expect to get it undone overnight. And it's not a sprint. It's a marathon, and you just have to know that every little thing you do is moving something somewhere. You can go to our site, which is capecodgag.org, or you can go to grandparentsunitingforgunsafety.org. We'll show you initiatives there. You can call people, you can do things. You can sign up on either site and join us. We have rallies, we have meetings, we have a little bit of something for everyone because everybody doesn't like to do the same things. So if you're feeling like you ought to do something, the truth of the matter is you should do something, and we're here to help you do that.
Governor Maura Healey has declared a state of emergency in Massachusetts due to the rapidly increasing number of migrant families arriving in need of shelter and services, and a severe shortage of shelter availability. Nearly 5,600 families, over 20,000 individuals, are in state shelters, prompting urgent calls for federal aid to streamline work authorizations and increase funding for shelter and services.
Yeah, today I declared an emergency, and it's important for people to understand what's happening, what's been happening in our state. We are dealing with a humanitarian crisis. We're seeing it here in Massachusetts. We're seeing it across the country. There are so many migrants arriving into our states on a daily basis. And for a state like ours, where there have been tremendous supports and resources as a general matter for housing, our shelter system, our housing system is really incredibly strained. And so it's reached a point where I needed to declare an emergency here in Massachusetts to do a few things. One, to ask for federal intervention and for the federal government to take some necessary steps. One, that is funding, and two, it's the expediting of work authorizations. These migrants who have come, they are so anxious to work. They are ready to work. Instead, they are sitting for not just weeks and months, upwards of a year or more in our hotels, motels, shelters, and other housing emergency places.
At this week's Yarmouth Select Board meeting, a resident voiced concerns about a story on a local motel raising the weekly rent on its tenants and speculated as to why.
I don't know how many of you might have been listening on the radio program this morning. There is a motel that has caused quite an uproar. The motel is Yarmouth Resort on Route 28, and apparently just suddenly notified their residents, who seem to be permanent residents there, that their rent or lease or whatever will be going up from $300 a week to $700 a week. And there is a manager, a woman, who seems to know where a lot of the sleeping dogs lie in that particular situation. And I think she would be willing to probably talk to somebody in this town, the authorities, to see what's going on. I think it's pretty obvious. This is going, if it hasn't been signed already, this is going to go to the bringing in the illegal aliens, because of the kind of money that's being paid to motel people to do that. And I think somebody needs to get a hold of the manager, and her name, I think, is Debbie Robbins, I think. She seemed, very much on the side of the renters and what have you. So, and the owner is a Mr. Patel, who seems to have a whole family with Patel names and owning all kinds of properties here on the Cape. I think I heard correctly, including the Webster Inn. And somebody needs to do something, because apparently there could be some health related issues, so maybe somebody needs to look into that area, because apparently the building has been allowed to kind of be run down in a sense. I think that we better be very careful with all those motels and the kind of thing that's being put in front of them, all that money. This is really going to be a very, very serious matter, I think, because we'll end up like with a whole colony of these illegal aliens on Route 28. And I don't think we can possibly afford to have something like that happen. Can you imagine? I mean, and what would happen to the schools and what have you? I mean, it's just unacceptable. So I hope that somebody will try to look into what's going on.
The Yarmouth Resort in West Yarmouth, Massachusetts, is at the center of confusion regarding a rent increase for its 137-room condo/motel. The property's general manager, Deborah Robbins, sent out notes to tenants stating that the rent would increase from $300 to $700 per week. However, co-owner Ashik Patel later denied the increase, attributing the misinformation to a, quote, communication gap. Robbins, who has worked at the property for about 20 years, says she sent the notices following the ownership's instructions. She also noted that she has cancer and believes she has just a few weeks left to live. Refusing to evict tenants despite the confusions, Robbins quit her job on Sunday, emphasizing her commitment to the residents by stating, "As long as you pay, I'm not throwing you out." Coming up after the break, Yarmouth reviews its housing plan. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Lauren Williamson. Earlier this month, the Town of Yarmouth Select Board heard a presentation on the town's housing production plan. The plan outlines the need for affordable housing in Yarmouth due to rising costs and income disparities. The plan underscores the impact of seasonal housing use and demographic shifts, highlighting the need for housing solutions catering to various age groups. To gain control over affordable housing development, the plan seeks to meet the state's affordable housing goal and includes the concept of local preference units.
If the state approves the housing production plan and the town produces 0.5% of its year-round housing stock, it gets, and that's the equivalent of 57 units in Yarmouth, it gets what's called certification, or sometimes referred to as safe harbor, where it can deny what it considers inappropriate or unwanted comprehensive permit applications without the developer's ability to appeal, and therefore deny projects that would override local zoning that are not considered assets. If there's a production of 1% of the year-round housing stock in any calendar year, which is the equivalent of 115 units, the certification or safe harbor goes for 2 years period of time, which is a good thing.
The document shares the town's vision for an inclusive and economically stable and environmentally conscious community. It presents broad goals, including stabilizing households, housing diversity, and preserving affordable housing stock. The plan calls for innovative strategies and development principles, striving for a balanced housing market that accommodates different income levels and demographics. A lot of chatter was generated in opposition to the development of the Yarmouth Housing Authority's Forest Road property. The town of Yarmouth gave the 18-acre Forest Road parcel to the Yarmouth Housing Authority for the development of affordable housing. Residents have made complaints that these actions are hypocritical to the town's environmentally conscious efforts, and in direct violation of previous votes in 2011 and 2016.
I have several questions for the Board of Selectmen regarding the development of 19 acres off of Forest Road. Question one is, on April 27th, Mr. Norman Holcomb submitted a letter requesting a meeting of the Select Board in public to discuss crucial issues regarding the legality of transferring this property to the Yarmouth Housing Authority. After 3 months, no meeting has been scheduled, and the Selectmen have refused to answer Mr. Holcomb's subsequent correspondence as to the findings of his inquiries. Why are the Selectmen stonewalling Mr. Holcomb and by association the residents of Yarmouth? That's my question.
Do you expect me to get into some kind of a dialogue with you?
No, I'm asking
If
a
you
question.
do,
Why
that's not going to happen. Your public comment is for you to make comments to address the board.
No, I have a
It's not
right
to get into
I have a right
Q&A
to
with
ask
the
a question
selectmen.
about something that's in.
Are you listening? Why do you just want to talk?
You're not listening. You're not listening. I want an answer to that question.
Well, you're not going to get one because I just told you this is not a Q&A period. It's for you to make public
It's on the
comment.
agenda. I have a right to ask a question. So you are refusing to answer that question.
Are you done?
No, I'm going to ask a
Then
question.
continue, please.
I'm going to continue. In 2023, the housing production plan that is being presented for your approval tonight lists the Forest Road project as the highest priority for development. On page 71, the property is surreptitiously listed as public land, West Yarmouth rental. In the initial version of the plan, it was listed as Yarmouth Housing Authority Forest Road. The name change is an obvious attempt to hide what the town is promoting. This is unbecoming of a municipality. Must I remind the Selectmen that in 2011, the residents of Yarmouth voted by an overwhelming majority against the development of this property by taking, buying, or trading land with the Yarmouth Housing Authority. 2 subsequent articles in 2012 and 2013 were also passed to prevent this development. Page 49 of the plan discusses the history of Forest Road and leaves all of that out of their plan. Does not discuss that whatsoever. This is not only dishonest, it is pure subterfuge. Instead of complying with a clear mandate from the public, the town is instead promoting a housing development that will increase nitrogen levels in our wells and estuaries while also flooding a neighborhood. After recently appropriating $207 million for Phase 1 of the wastewater treatment project to reduce nitrogen in our wells and estuaries, it is sheer hypocrisy to now offer a plan to increase nitrogen levels in the most damaging of localities. You must reject the housing production plan as presented. In summary, the Yarmouth Housing Authority has plans to sell this property to a developer. They care little about destroying the health of a community, and they are prepared for a request of a proposal to do this. Like Pontius Pilate, they are washing their hands of this, and you know the rest of the story.
If we wanted to speak to the frustrations of some of the residents, it's that town meeting spoke, town meeting acted. I know some of that frustration is directed towards us, but we're somewhat victims in this as well. And in many cases, the frustration really needs to be directed to the people that have basically been ignoring not just them, but also apparently town meeting, the governing body of the town.
Overall, the town of Yarmouth's housing production plan includes the town's vision statement, broad goals, and aspirations for the community's future. These goals range from stabilizing local households and increasing housing diversity to preserving the existing affordable housing stock and promoting smart growth development principles. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. If you have a story that you would like to see covered, send us an email at newstip@capemedia.org. Tune in next week for more hyperlocal news that matters on Channel 26 or Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV. For Cape Media News, I'm Lauren Williamson. I hope to see you next week.